This time I'm gonna get it. Let's check my apps real quick.
What apps are you checking?
I'm checking my World of Warcraft app.
What's to check on that?
Oh, just doing some boring stuff that I don't want to actually do if I log on tomorrow. But like it'll cook overnight on a 12-hour cooldown.
Nice.
So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I always do it at around like sometime between like when I've finished with. Yeah, I don't need to. We've been recording. I'm sorry. Can we start over again? That's my mulligan. Because I didn't see that you started recording, and you know, leave it in. This is what, only 50 seconds?
Yeah, no, not even. It's 30.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome to the Delta Quadrant. You're listening to the Janeway. It is Chicago's greatest unofficial oral Star Trek Voyager episode guide. That is a mouthful every time I say it.
And you'll get used to it eventually.
I think it's the strongest descriptor for what this show is.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, already feeling better.
Cool.
A little bouncier.
Oof.
A little bouncy, bouncy. Today's episode is episode 2. It's called Parallax.
And with you, as always, is Grant Whitaker.
Damn. I didn't say my name though either, right?
Cool. Then let me introduce today and your host,
No.
Jacob Westman.
Gross. No, that was nice.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't take it as like a mean gross.
Okay.
Just thought it was sort of a general gross. Like.
And my co-host, I'm so happy, is here, Grant Whitaker.
Thank you, everyone. Glad to be back.
And, okay, so the episode today.
Parallax,
episode 2.
Yeah, and the first real one, sans pilot. This is us getting into like the depth of Star Trek Voyager for the first time.
Story by Jim Trebetta and teleplay by classic Brannon Braga, directed by Kim Friedman.
Okay, so classic Brendan Braga. Brendan Braga?
Brennan.
So you say that, has he done any other Star Trek that I would know?
He's kind of a lasting. I feel like he worked on DS9. I can look this up. And definitely did Enterprise, and now he works on the Orville, which I will be talking about the Orville as we go along because I love that show and I think it's the better Star Trek show right now. That being fair, I can't say that for real because I've never actually seen Discovery. I don't know anything
we're the
about
unofficial
Discovery.
podcast, so we don't have to vet our facts. This is totally unfiltered Star Trek for you today.
Oh no, we're gonna get kicked off of Twitter if you do that.
You know, I really think that these Ocampans, that's what we're calling them, Ocampans. Okay, all right, these Ocampans.
They have water. They had water the entire time. They're storing the water.
And people turn against the Kahless. They say that the Kahless. Kazon. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, yeah, no, he's next generation and just kept going and going and going. Brandon Braga.
Excellent.
And I think he was a big part of. He's like works with Seth MacFarlane. He did the Cosmos.
Sure.
With Neil deGrasse and all that. So.
And it shows in this episode because this is definitely one of like the tighter Star Trek plots that I've seen.
It's Star Trekky.
Very Star Trekky, very science-y.
Yeah. It's very like you said before to me. It's non-malevolent.
Yeah.
It's benign, but not in a boring way.
Yeah.
It's an anomaly.
And it's like, I guess why this feels special a little bit coming off of DS9 is like the exploration in DS9 is if they're going someplace that isn't charted, it's almost always gonna be like an area that they're gonna crash land and then have sort of like an enemy mine situation with like probably the Jem'Hadar.
Probably.
Probably. That happens like 3 times. That they just like crash at a place, and the Jem'Hadar are also there, and they're like,
Those are good eps.
yeah.
Those are good eps. But this one is a good...
Yeah, it's like, we're back! We're exploring in space again!
And it's a benign kind of anomaly that allows itself to be second fiddle to a more important aspect, a more important theme of the episode, which is about unification and unifying the Maquis with Starfleet, and what crazy conflicts are going on between those two, and the tensions that are arising,
Yeah.
and how they have to solve this benign anomaly together.
Yeah, and we start off in the middle of that conflict, if I recall.
Tell us about it, Gransky.
Well, you guys...
Beam us there. Fade in. Engineering room. Interior. Night.
B'Elanna Torres beats the ever-loving out of some milk-faced nobody.
Yeah, one of the Chaunces that was best friends with the doctor, the original doctor that's dead now, and the original First Ace.
You mentioned his name earlier. I can't even...
Mr. Carey.
Mr. Carey.
I don't know his first name. Is like Lieutenant Carey next in line. He's the next in line to be the chief engineer, but there is no official chief engineer of Voyager yet.
Yeah.
That along with field medic is an undeclared, very important role.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about the field medic subplot, which becomes so important.
Well, it is because it's the beginning of Tom Paris being a field medic.
Yeah.
And they needed to give Tom Paris something more than being the best pilot in the universe, and also his shady checkered past. So they made him this field medic, and I think that also got him closer to Kes.
Yeah.
Because they keep playing up. You will see it time and time again. It is not my favorite.
The love triangle of the
it's
century.
Not even a triangle. It's like so flimsy. It's just Neelix being jealous of Tom Paris sorta crushing on Kes, and that's really benign.
Yeah.
Like, it's so irritating, and Neelix will not let it go for seasons.
Hey, we're 2 episodes away from Phage, man. We're gonna get there. We're gonna talk about it. Yeah, but so in this one we start out, and B'Elanna Torres has had kind of an oopsie in the engineering department.
Should I bleep that?
Oopsie? I don't think so.
Okay, I'm not going to.
Yeah, no, I mean, we need to draw a clear line, because people are going to say, like, what could I have said? You know? no one's gonna guess oopsie.
Yeah, that's true.
But if I were to say, like, so B'Elanna took a huge on her responsibilities as an acting star.
I don't need to.
Well, now I don't. Well, I want that bleep, because that's not in line with me and my personal brand.
I'll bleep it as though you said It'll be good.
Nice. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
So B'Elanna Torres gets into a scrap, and the discipline kind of goes up the chain, and we have Tuvok. And, you know, he kind of breaks the first rule of improv, which is to sort of shut down B'Elanna's whole shit and lock her character in the brig for the remainder of the voyage, because that's what the rules say.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we have Chakotay kind of like circumventing the rules, Maquis style, and this is kind of where problems begin to form.
Right. If you just straight up followed Starfleet rules, she would be in the brig, and that's that.
Yeah.
And Chakotay says, no, just let me handle it.
Yeah, no, this is episode 2 of Tuvok. We have to... we put prosthetics on her. She's been cast.
Right.
We gotta...
Word travels quick on Voyager. It's a small crew. They're all family. And word gets around.
Yeah.
So Janeway hears about this and is talking to Chakotay about positions that they need to fill, and he suggests B'Elanna
For chief engineer.
Over,
and this is the fun point of drama, directly over the person whose bones she nearly snapped, like so many brittle human twigs.
Yes.
She's half Klingon, we should mention again.
Yeah, she's pretty, she chills out a little bit. She keeps her energy and her anger through the show, But this is kind of unwieldy.
Yeah.
She's pretty unwieldy in this. Um,
She's the least Klingon that I've seen in Star Trek. And
uh,
I don't know. Are they gonna jump into her culture or not? I don't know.
they go into her past.
Yeah, it seems she seems pretty like Federation citizen-y in terms of her like outlook and
Yeah,
mannerisms.
she really has to deal with her past through some of these episodes.
Cool.
We'll
Cool.
get there
Yeah.
for sure. So Janeway says you can't be f***ing serious.
Yeah.
No way. And Chakotay says you gotta trust me. And she says, I don't know.
And
Sure.
and
Sure. Yeah. Sure. You're Starfleet. I need to sort of trust you, right?
yeah.
Am I being?
Pretty much.
I mean, I am being glib, but and it's not until later on when things start going awry, and there's an issue in main engineering, and they're sitting on the bridge, Janeway and Chakotay asks B'Elanna to solve an issue.
Yeah, and this goes over the chain of command, and so earlier in the episode we had Chakotay kind of like writing the rules as he goes, kind of going with his gut, and that flies on a Maquis ship,
Sure,
but in Starfleet.
but he also gives B'Elanna what for. He's really riding both sides.
That's true.
He's really trying to balance both of them. He needs to stand up for his people, but also he tells her what's up.
Yeah, as like a quick like side note, when it comes to that early scene in the episode where B'Elanna and Chakotay are talking, I I wasn't 100% on board with like the acting there, because it's like it's oh god, it's a little schlocky. It's
Star Trek Voyager schlocky?
it's like
How dare you?
it's like oh god, like Chakotay delivers every line like he's saying it like this, and
No,
Yeah.
that's Chakotay delivery.
yeah.
He's killing it.
Well, and then like
When he takes a breath, because he's trying to remember the
line.
technical jargon, you have to understand. We must grab the tools.
Chakotay
He's wonderful. I love him. I love him.
yeah. He says something that's very benign and kind of like I don't think it's like well so yeah I remember now. So B'Elanna's like, so what's gonna happen to me? And he's like, you're going to be in jail for 75 years. And then she just goes, I've always hated your twisted sense of humor, Chakotay.
That was pretty good. That was a good one.
And then he's like, I've decided to promote you to chief engineer. She's like, again with the twisted sense of humor. And that one's not my twisted sense of humor. It's just, it's funny.
Yeah. You're getting to meet him. You're getting to get in on the fam.
It's like, it's not serious all the time. Even when the subject is serious, it's important that like the show is ultimately entertaining.
Right.
And so while I say that I complain about that as like a point of acting, honestly, as a point of entertainment, I had a lot of fun.
And as he says, a point of entertainment, he's holding a pickle to his mouth and holding it like a cigar and tapping it.
Yeah, we don't advocate smoking on this podcast.
Not at all.
Absolutely.
A synthahol pickle.
That's one to grow on right there. Are pickles pickled in alcohol?
No.
I had no. Well, yeah, I don't really eat pickles, so I don't know much about the brine that they're soaked in. Speaking of brine and sea-related matters, the good ship Voyager runs into some real choppy waters in a
that was a good one.
in a temporal. Temporal is kind of a spoiler, but
Yeah, let's just kind of I mean, we can talk about this plot. It's a good plot, but
yeah.
It's more about getting B'Elanna to where she needs to get by the end of the episode.
Yeah. So they run into a situation where there's a ship in distress in an anomaly, and they can't communicate with the ship, so they get in closer, and that's usually the way that we get our fun science episodes, because the Starfleet thing to do is to rescue the ship,
Right.
But that puts them directly in the way of the anomaly. So then we
Right.
see it play out in the crew. And as it turns out, I mentioned earlier, it's a temporal anomaly. The ship that they couldn't interact with was the Voyager.
Yeah, and so they get this message from the other ship.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I just watched it 2 hours ago too. I can't remember if it's before they realize it's Voyager or not. But they're like, oh, I wonder how we can unscramble this message. So then they have both Mr. Carey and B'Elanna come to the senior staff meeting, and that's a point of contention for everybody.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Mr. Kim is at the staff meeting, and will be forever on this show the ensign at the staff meeting.
Did he do really well in the academy or something?
They just got to count on him. I think but he was in that position
Yeah.
before the caretaker array. So he's the one that survived and stayed at his position and never got another pip.
I guess he was on the bridge when like the shit happened.
Right.
Like, he was in rotation, and that's pretty true. I think of like battlefield promotions, right? Like you lose a bunch of people, and they got to fill the ranks with the people they got.
He zooms up the ranks once they come home. Like it doesn't take long for him to.
Oh, they get home.
Oh, sorry, man.
Well, bleep all that. People don't even have to listen to our podcast if they know that they get all home.
So they have this staff meeting.
Yeah.
What else happens at this staff meeting?
Neelix and Kess both show up as the representatives of their own individual situations. I'm Chief Talaxian, and she's Chief Ocampan.
Right.
And we have lots of ideas. And they start the garden. They start the hydroponics and the...
oh, yeah, that's where they put Cass most of the time.
Yeah. So they answer a very pressing question. And I guess the replicators are broken, which they say in that episode, but sometimes they use replicators.
Well, lots of things are going on because of this anomaly, right? People are getting hurt, and the doctor
is shrinking. using the strongest digital technology of the time, they stretch and skew in Microsoft Paint, and they make
looks great.
They make him very short.
He's all sorts of size. Doctor, you're shrinking.
He's like, hold on, doctor. There's something wrong with the monitor. No, I'm sorry. That's just how I look right now. Can you send someone down to check? And no one checks on the doctor because we're not at a point where he matters as a person to these people.
And so, back at that senior staff meeting, B'Elanna comes up with this brilliant idea to unscramble the message that the other ship is sending. And Janeway thinks it's a really, really good idea. And so they go for it. And they do that a couple of times. Where like Janeway and B'Elanna kind of pop it off.
Yeah.
They have this great energy together. They really can solve problems together. Unlike this fogey old marshmallow man.
Yeah, the engineer.
Yeah, Mr. Carey. Stay puffed. That's what I'm thinking of.
And then like it's like that. Like every situation where it could be someone else to help solve the problem, they have like a decent reason why it shouldn't be. Like when they find out it's a time anomaly and that they're gonna have to like leave the ship to do a thing, to like I think chart a course.
Right.
Yeah.
Tom wants to do it.
Well, that scene starts with Tom going, "Time anomalies? What's that?"
Well, there's this whole scene where Tom says that, and then he goes, "Am I making any sense?" And he's obviously the voice of the audience.
Yeah.
Asking every question that the audience needs to ask. And then he goes, "Am I making any sense?" And Janeway goes, "No." And then explains the situation as if she knew exactly what he was talking about. So he did make sense.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have a grasp of like the science there.
Temporal mechanics.
Yeah. And that's why he can't fly the ship, because even though he's the best pilot ever, B'Elanna understands the situation that they're in and so is better rated to do it. And then we get Janeway and B'Elanna in a small vessel for a period of time, and they have to. And the thing here is that B'Elanna isn't just right every time. She has like a lot of really good hunches and a lot of really good ideas, but when they're in the shuttlecraft, and then again later when they have to, I think, destroy a Voyager. I'm a little foggy
Same.
on what exactly. So they end up in a situation at the very end of the episode where they can see two Voyagers, and they
Yeah.
have to blow up.
And they realize the distress call is actually Janeway's original hail.
Yeah. But there are no. They have to take the place of one of the Voyagers, and it can't be one from behind them in time because that'll cause a paradox. So they have to move towards one that they aren't.
Yeah.
Um,
Gets real.
it's time travel fiction is something that's very difficult to write well, and it can be very confusing to recount afterwards. But you gotta believe me, folks. If you watch this episode, they really make it seem like it makes sense.
It's pretty good. It's just we're a couple of guys.
We're mere Chicagans.
I mean,
We're Chicagoites. We
you're,
can't.
you're KC
I'm Casey.
and I'm Burlington, Vermont, but we live in Chicago.
It's true. I mean, hey, I feel you live anywhere for more than 5 years, you can put that as like your identity as a person. You can change.
Now it's on record.
Yeah. That's yeah. So
That was Grant Whitaker on record. This is Story. What is it? Story Tones?
Yeah.
NPR Story Tone?
Yeah. So you can kind of just grant, like, if you manage to evade the government for 5 years, then you can be a citizen if you if you dodge long enough.
Grant, I think we need to have an interview right now. Let me ask you some questions.
Sure.
Okay. If you had to steal that money again, would you do it the same way?
Since I didn't get caught, no.
You try a different way.
No, I'd do it the same way because it worked.
Would you do it the Janeway?
Ah!
Grant, I have a second question for you in this interview.
Yes.
Who's your winner of the episode?
Winner of the episode is Captain Janeway.
Tell me why.
Because ultimately,
As Neil Young once said, tell me why.
she maintains control of the whole situation.
Tell me why, Grant. Don't hold back.
I wish I knew more young
Tell
Neil.
me more. Tell me why she's the winner, Grant.
I will.
I can't wait to hear it. You are holding out on me.
Yeah, Captain Janeway wins the episode because she like takes Chakotay for a run through the paces. Because ultimately he gets everything he wants in this episode, and B'Elanna gets everything that she didn't know she wanted.
She becomes chief engineer.
Yeah, and she
And
even
gets the... Oh, keep going.
yeah, she even rises to the occasion, you know, and like she kind of redeems herself for not being able to hack it in Starfleet, and finds out that she has more potential than she thought. Because like there's a problem with her self-worth
Yeah.
there. She doesn't think she was good enough, and so she lashes out because of
She
that.
dropped out of Starfleet.
Yeah, and you know Janeway does like a whole bunch of things for her in terms of building her confidence, not like building her up too high, you know, making sure that she like knows when she's making mistakes and knows what the boundaries are, but like, you know, letting her, giving her room to fly. And then also giving some encouragement by revealing parts of her past that she has access to as like the Starfleet captain, you know, like things from her permanent record
Sure.
that kind of change things for her. So Janeway does concede on like pretty much every point given and chooses to trust her people, but that's kind of the trick, because by building this trust with Chakotay and by like building Torres's confidence in herself, she makes them hers.
Ah.
And so by the end of the episode, you know, you could say like, oh, chief engineer gets her position, Chakotay gets validated in his expertise, but Janeway now has her crew, and like the morale problem is solved. The Marquis aren't gonna revolt. Um, Everybody wins, and that's a win for Janeway.
That's a good one. Very good. My winner is the word benign. I feel like if I didn't mention that, I would I would be remiss.
Yeah, it's a good vocab word.
But also in terms of how wonderful it is to be able to do a very Star Trek-y type problem solving issue that can be a B plot and also reinforce the A plot. It's pretty strong writing as far as the last episode we really had a problem with the plot, and I think this episode the plots merge together pretty nicely. So I guess the winner is for me the writing. I think it's pretty solid writing this time around. Do you have a loser?
Oh boy, the loser this episode probably poor Tom Paris.
It's funny. I was gonna say my loser was Neelix
Oh, cool, cool.
because I think I hate that arc, and this is the beginning of that arc.
Is it? What?
Is that I don't think it happens in the other one. This is the beginning of the Neelix hating Tom Paris because Tom Paris has might be crushing on Cass.
I thought that was Phage, but
No. This definitely there's
Cool.
a slight glance.
uh,
Like it starts in this episode. I saw it. Tom Paris offers Kess his chair.
Yeah.
And Neelix kind of struts up and puffs out his chest.
That's
And
right.
it's obvious they were talking about it. Neelix still hasn't gotten the right coloration in his makeup yet, so he still looks like pale and weird.
Yeah, they're still painting him with that lead-based makeup.
It's,
That makes him all crazy.
Yeah, it's a little bothersome.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, like my reason for Tom Paris was just that he like his everyman kind of stance puts him kind of in a useless position here, where his like one big skill can't even. That's what happens when you over specialize. Your one big skill doesn't avail you anything. Also, he gets saddled with the Doctor hologram, which is a, just a horrible thing for Tom. It's absolutely
Right.
not what he wants to be doing or where he wants to be.
Sure.
So, my loser, Tom Paris. Your loser, Neelix, and the viewers.
And I guess we'll take the last couple of minutes to talk about how this is really the beginning, and they touch on it a little bit in the pilot, but this is the beginning of a huge series-long Doctor arc of learning about his equality with the rest of the crew. He's a hologram. No one's used to having a hologram be a regular member of the crew.
Yeah.
No one. He's not even supposed to be online for more than 5 minutes. So this begins. People forget to turn his program off. No one tells him what's going on. No one has updated anyone's medical files because no one tells him he needs to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very, very important as we go along because we discuss holographic rights all the way through season 7, and he's always pushing, and he just gains more and more confidence. Right now, he's just kind of existing in this in light and photonic essence, drifting and waxing.
He's a great cosmic traveler
Mm.
on the windy highways of one room.
It's a beautiful thing. And also the channel that you can watch, the little doctor channel.
Yeah.
When you're feeling bored, talk to the doctor, like
It's
Dr.
nice.
Oz,
Very nice.
holographic Dr. Oz. All right, I think it's time to wrap this baby up.
Yep.
Grant, what's your name?
Grant Whitaker, and I'm also the guest forever.
My name is Jacobs Weissman. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the Delta Quadrant.